In this video here, we are going to be learning how to add and subtract fractions. Let's start off with just a really easy case right now. We're going to go with 1/2 plus 1/2. All right, now conceptually, we should be able to just completely understand what this actually means here. If I have a circle and I break that circle into two different halves here, well, on the left-hand side, I have 1/2 here, kind of like what we show right here. And on the right-hand side, I have another half, kind of like what we show over here. So if we look at our diagram, I have 1/2 plus 1/2. Well, that equals then 2 halves. I have 1, 2. I have 2 halves here. Or 2 divided by 2, that will just simplify into 1. Because we should know that any number over that same number is 1 when the numerator and the denominator are both the same. That means you have something broken up into some amount of parts, and you happen to have all of those parts. So I have a circle broken up into 2 parts, and I have all 2 parts here. So that means I have the entire circle. All right, so I have one whole circle. I have a whole. Now, we can just sort of conceptually see all that and understand it, right? But what we might not realize is that when we're adding fractions, we can do that so easily because the denominators are the same. When the denominators are the same, then all we need to worry about is just adding the numerators. All right, so in this case, whenever you're adding or subtracting fractions, your denominator will stay the same as long as your denominators are already the same. And then you just add the numerators. So we're just going to say 1 plus 1 equals 2. Let's look at a different simple example here where I have something like 3/4 plus 1/4, okay? I have 3/4 plus 1/4. Again, our denominators are the same. They're both 4. So my answer is going to be something over 4. And now all I need to do is add the numerators. So 3 plus 1 equals 4. And again, we can see that our numerator and our denominator are the same, so we know that that can just simplify into 1. All right, so again, whenever we're adding or subtracting fractions, our first goal is to make sure that our denominators are the same. Because once they're the same, then all we need to do is worry about adding or subtracting the numerators. So then that begs the question, well, what if they're not the same? What if we have an equation like this, where it is something like 3/5 plus 1/2. All right, 3/5 plus 1/2. Well, we can see that our denominators are not the same anymore. So how can we add these fractions together? Well, we need to transform both of these fractions using the LCD, the least common denominator, meaning given these two denominators here, what is the smallest number that both of them can evenly go into? And a lot of times, it should just be as easy as multiplying the two numbers together. Let me get this thing out of here and get this back in the position over in the top left-hand corner here. All right, so again, all we really need to do here is multiply these two denominators together. And that's going to give us 10. So we should know that we are going to have a new equation where we're going to have some fraction over 10 plus another fraction over 10. And now our goal is to make this equation here, or this fraction here, and this fraction here look like this fraction here and this fraction here. So how can we do that here? Let's start with this fraction here. In order to get this denominator to look like this denominator, what we needed to do was multiply it by 2. So if we look at the denominator, 2 times 5, well, that equals 10 like we have down here. So now we're just going to do 2 times 3, and that's going to give us 6. All right. So let's delete some of this extra noise around here. There we go. And now we have an equivalent fraction here of 6/10 is the same as 3/5. Let's do the same thing for the right fraction here. Well, this denominator, in order to get to this denominator, we had to multiply it by 5. So we'll do the same thing with the numerator. 1 times 5 equals, well, 5. And now, with our bottom equation, our equivalent equation, we can see that our denominators are the same. So now all we need to do is just add up our numerators. So 6/10 plus 5/10 equals 11/10, because 6 plus 5 equals 11. And it can be that simple. Let's go ahead and go with another example here. Let's say we have something like 1/3 here, 1/3 plus 3/4. All right, 1/3 plus 3/4. Again, our denominators are different, so we want to make it so they are the same. We know that 3 times 4 equals 12, so we're going to have a new equation here where it's something over 12 plus something over 12. Now with this fraction, we need to multiply it by 4, because 4 times 3 gives us 12 down here. So then 4 times 1 will equal 4. And then with this side here, we need to multiply it by 3, because 3 times 4 equals 12. So 3 times 3 equals 9. And now we have a new equation of 4/12 plus 9/12. Well, that's going to give us 13/12. And it can be that simple. It can be that quick. Let's go ahead and go with another example here. Let's say we have something like a subtraction one instead. Let's go with subtracting fractions with different denominators. Let's say we have 5/6 minus 1/2 here. All right, 5/6 minus 1/2. What is that going to equal? Well, again, our denominators are different, so we need to find the LCD. Now, we could just multiply the 6 and the 2 together and get 12, or we could sort of realize that, well, 2 could actually already go into 6. So really, the least common denominator is 6. So we're going to make a new equation then of something minus something, where both of them are going to be over 6. And now, in order to get this one to a 6, well, really, we didn't do anything. We multiplied it by a 1, I guess, because 1 times 6 gave us that 6 down here. So then 1 times 5 will give us 5. Again, this equation this fraction just doesn't change. But on this side, what we had to do was multiply it by a 3, because 2 times 3 gives us that 6. So 1 times 3 will give us a 3. And now we have our new equation down here, which is 5/6 minus 3/6. Again, our denominators are the same, so our answer is going to be something over 6. We just subtract our numerators now. 5 minus 3, well, that equals 2. So we have 2/6 here. Or again, we should know that we should be able to simplify this fraction, because 2 can go into the numerator and denominator evenly. So divide the whole thing by 2. Well, 2 divided by 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our actual answer, our new answer here, is 1/3. So 5/6 minus 1/2 is going to equal 1/3. And that, my friends, is how we can easily add and subtract fractions.